Meanwhile, on the comic box.
Yeah, my man. It's the Justice League review. This week on the comic box. Kick it, Fletch.
Booyah!
That was weird. I don't know why I said it that way. But anyway, go ahead. You kick it.
Oh, I went just a full cyborg mic drop. Booyah!
Booyah. All right. Comics, I guess. No intro music? We don't... All right, fine. You know what? No, that's fine. That's fine. I don't care. We'll do that.
You know what? I'm very tender this morning, emotionally, spiritually, mentally.
Yeah. Okay.
Physically, I'm still sexy as hell.
Well, I'm glad this is starting out well. Hey, everyone, and welcome to issue 74? Or 74?
You really need to get an assistant.
I know. I need an intern. Yes, I was right. 74 of the Comic Box, part of the Geek to Geek podcast network. I am Rob, your friendly neighborhood comic geek, and joining me is Fletch. Fletch, thank you so much for making the time to come back. I always love it when we can do a prep episode with somebody and then have them turn around and come back for a review.
Well, thanks for flying me in.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was not cheap. I was not aware that you had special dietary requirements on your flight. Money. Lots of money.
Beauty is never cheap.
Yeah. All right. So, like I said, this week we are going to talk Justice League. Here's how we're going to play it, everybody. We're going to do a spoiler-free version. Then we're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to get into the real meat and potatoes of what we liked and did not like about Justice League. So, first, I want to do a couple quick news pieces and our weekly geekery. So let's start with the weekly geekery. Fletch, how have you been keeping it geek this week?
Well, I think the last couple of times that I've been on, I keep harping about Norm Macdonald's stand-up special on Netflix. Well,
right. Did you again? Did you just watch it again?
I'm not going to answer that question, but I think we all know the answer. But how I've really been furthering my fanaticism about this is I've been checking out his kind of weekly live show. I don't know. I think it's just on the internet, but it's like a podcast, and he has his comedian friends come on, and it's outstanding.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun to watch.
They're really long. Like, I've seen them, and I've seen people talk about them. I just don't have whatever it is, 2 hours to set aside and watch Norm Macdonald talk to his friends.
Well, the perfect thing, too, is you don't have to watch it. I mean, it's just they're just sitting there. They don't exactly get visual, so you can just listen to it.
Okay. Do you know, is it put out there as a podcast then?
I've not really done the search to take a look for it, so I would guess it would be, but I haven't seen it.
Okay. All right. Well, what else? Have you been reading anything? Did you watch anything else?
I did. I don't know if we're talking about this a little later, but I've dove into the Punisher a bit.
Oh, cool. No. I am halfway into the first episode, but there are still things. I guess it's spoilery. My plan is to do a Punisher review next. I guess it's not terribly spoilery because we don't know things for sure. I will just say the very first scene of the very first episode, I was right, and I am happy that I am right.
Mazel tov.
You know what I'm talking about?
Honestly, no.
Okay, well, spoilers then, everybody, in 3, 2, 1. The very first scene, he's chasing people down in a van.
Yes.
So if that's only just the tip of a hat to the battle van, I don't care, because I was like, you know what, I would love the battle van, like jokingly. Ooh. And the very first thing we see is the Punisher with his van.
And I think, well, how far am I? I think I'm halfway through the season, so.
Oh wow, okay.
I'm just grinning. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, perfect. But the thing I really wanted to ask you is that opening sequence. You know, you were hoping we would get a really good song, and I love the choice they made. Again, I guess spoilers, but we're just literally talking about the title sequence for the Punisher here. So no countdown. I'm not going to tell you to skip forward because I don't feel like it's super spoilery at all. What did you think of their song choice?
For the opening credits?
Yeah, that's what you said you wanted. You said you wanted a really good opening credit sequence with a really good song.
I have mixed feelings about it. I like the color scheme,
okay,
and everything to it. The music, I think it was just a little too on the nose.
See, I really liked it. Again, I only watched it the one time, and it was like on my cell phone while I was waiting for, I don't know, an email or something at work and doing some work stuff. But I I really appreciated the choice because the first thing you think of when you think of the Punisher is like metal music, like really grungy guitars and somebody wailing in the back. You know what I mean? Like the Punisher, man, Punisher's sweet. That kind of thing. Like, think everywhere in modern society where you see the Punisher logo, that turned music. All the people that have the Punisher skull all over everything because it looks badass versus like actually liking the comic books. I was expecting that. So the fact that we got like deep fried Delta blues, I thought was really cool.
I'll give you that, and I like too that it's kind of consistent throughout. From what I've seen, the couple of episodes, it's consistent throughout the show. Because this is no spoiler at all, but Frank plays guitar, and how he plays kind of relates back to the theme song. That's cool.
Gotcha. Okay. I love that fact that, his whole character, especially in the Netflix series, is wrapped up in, his grief more so than I feel in the comics. A lot of times now it's just anger or, having nothing else to lose kind of thing. I feel like in the shows, they try to humanize him a little more. Like I rewatched. So let me just say, for my weekly geekery, I rewatched Daredevil season 2, but I did something really interesting. Every time it cut away from the Frank Castle plotline, I skipped it. So I didn't watch a single minute of Elektra, nothing with Stick, nothing with the Hand. I skipped all of that, and it still worked really well. Now, I know you obviously need both sides so you can really get Matt Murdock's story and how he's fighting between Elektra wanting him to cut loose and the Punisher being the example of that. But you can watch like the first, 5 episodes that's just the Punisher arc. And then after that, you just watch, it turns into a law show. It turns into a courtroom drama. And you watch all the courtroom stuff. And then it shifts back into a mystery of who this blacksmith character is and what connection they might have to Frank Castle's past. So it actually worked really well. It was just less Daredevil in the show. So I sort of reacquainted myself with the character and how they really try to humanize him more. It's hard to say he talks a lot. There are times when he talks a lot, and there's times where he doesn't for the Punisher. And it feels like the Delta Blues really matches that because he's very much, like I said, this grief-ridden, not sure what to do with himself, knowing he wants revenge, but it's in a more human light than this inhuman killing machine that the Punisher often becomes in the comic books.
Right you are, old chum.
Okay. All right. I didn't mean to cut off your own weekly geekery, but I like that you're smiling. I hope that this is a good way to...
It eases the pain.
Yeah. See, I didn't want to say it yet because we're not to that point yet. Anything
I think
else? Everybody
can feel it.
Yeah. You can feel it through your headphones or speakers, depending on how you like to listen to the show. Anything else for your weekly geekery?
Just a few bubble baths. That's about it.
That's nice. I read Secret Empire.
No kidding.
Yeah, they have the whole thing collected as one thing, so I read that online, and Hoopla app, I can't shout out to those people enough. I did that thing, and I downloaded 2 other books off of Hoopla for the month, but I haven't touched them yet. It was the DC Bombshells and Nailbiter, because I think I got the complete Nailbiter. It was it's like 300 some odd pages. Again, this is Hoopla. It is one of my 5 checkouts. Is a 300-page giant trade thing, but yay Hoopla. Yes, so I read Secret Empire, and it was the main series. This collection was the main series, and then 1 issue of Captain America that sort of fills in the gap before the very last issue. It was fine.
Why?
The ending is very interesting in what they do. I guess we'll be talking spoilers here for the Secret Empire comics. Captain America goes bad. There's a cosmic cube becomes sentient and becomes a little girl, and the Red Skull, I think, convinces her to change history so that Captain America is a Hydra sleeper agent. So that is Captain America. Reality has been changed. And the interesting thing is, he never changes back. Like, even at the end of the story, it's still Hydra Cap. We get a second Captain America who is brought out, and it's literally the materialization of this little girl / Cosmic Cube's memories of who and what Captain America is. So
which
she warps
Cap
reality.
Is this too?
What's that?
And which Cap is this too? It's still Steve Rogers?
Yeah.
Okay, so do they make him German? Is he like Steve Rogerstein or something like that?
No. It's still Steve Rogers, and it's just this idea that his image of Hydra is not the same image as the Red Skull's Hydra, and he doesn't mind that he's killing millions and doing all this destruction, because the game plan is, a lot of what he's doing is to get the shards of the Cosmic Cube put back together, and then he's going to use it to bring everybody back to life. So in his mind, he's doing horrible things that he has a hard time doing, but his goal in the end is everybody's going to come back, and he's going to reset reality, and Hydra's just going to be in charge, because that's going to keep people safe. And the Punisher even works for him, because he sees that this is going to be a reality in which people are going to be safe. And he trusts Captain America, implicitly. Yeah, the ending is another Captain America gets brought back, looking like comic book Captain America, not like movie Captain America. And they fight, and the one wins. The good one wins. The other one is locked up, but is still there. So at some point in time, we may still get him. But now, I believe they killed the Red Skull, so it wouldn't surprise me if Evil Cap ends up becoming the new Red Skull at some point. They've already done things before where the Red Skull transfers his mind into the body of a cloned Captain America and all of this. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did that with the character. The problem with these big crossovers is basically you can read the last page and be like, oh, okay, that was the point all along. Because they're used by the companies to sort of reset things or introduce new characters or change up their teams and set their publishing in a new direction. And I don't like that. They're not doing it for the story. Like, there's a story to be told, but they know they're going to do a big crossover to reset the status quo and get new readers. And I feel that detracts from the overall impact of that storyline. But beyond that, I mean, yeah, it was neat. It's basically the Black Widow decides she's going to try and assassinate Captain America, but nobody else wants her to. So she ends up taking like a group of young heroes that say they're going to help her along the way. And then there's multiple factions doing multiple things. Like there's a defense grid that goes up around the world. So a lot of the cosmic level heroes who are fighting stuff off in space are now trapped and can't get back in. So they need to figure out how to survive out in space, while, the rest of the planets don't want anything to do with Earth, and they're talking about whether they need to evacuate to an alternate dimension and all of this sort of stuff, while still defending the Earth from...
interesting political commentary.
Yeah, well, it's while defending the Earth from wave after wave of alien invasion. Because the whole thing is the Chitauri, the bad guys from the Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm.
They have like Chitauri queen eggs or something that are on planet Earth. So these waves of aliens keep coming to try and get them. They can't get through the shield, but for some reason, Captain Marvel and the people out in space, Alpha Flight is now a space thing, are all there trying to stop these waves. And then meanwhile, New York, where most of the other Marvel heroes are, is trapped in this Dark Force dimension bubble thing where there's no light and there's creatures. And so Dagger of Cloak and Dagger, who can create light, is on top of like the Empire State Building or whatever, just constantly trying to send out waves of light, but she's getting weaker and weaker and exhausted because she's trying to do it like 12 hours a day of just pumping out light and being the sole beacon of light for the whole city. And so that's like Doctor Strange is kind of heading up all of that. And I guess a lot of that story took place in the Doctor Strange comic. We get snippets of it in the main book. But it was interesting. It was an interesting read. The next big crossover I want to read, I think, is going to be Forever Evil, which is the DC one, where the evil Justice League from Earth 2, or I don't know what it is now because they keep changing up what Earth is what. But the Not Injustice Society. What do they call themselves?
Wasn't it the Syndicate?
Yeah. The Justice Syndicate or whatever, or the Crime Syndicate.
Wasn't it the Crime Syndicate? Yeah.
Yeah, the Crime Syndicate of America comes over to our reality, and that's where supposedly they kill Nightwing, but not really. And I heard that was a really good one. So
you can't kill Nightwing,
right?
No,
too big of a fan base these days.
Only Joel Schumacher can.
Yes, but it's I want to read that, and then I want to read Infinity. I just know that Infinity is super, super big, and it's another Thanos-centric storyline, but it's I think written by Jonathan Hickman, but it's not my Thanos is the Thanos written by Jim Starlin, where he's a much more cerebral character. He almost has this philosophical bent to him, in addition to his desire to take over everything and murder half the universe for death.
Now, question for you, because I'm sure this is what's plaguing the country right now, and I know that some families have been divided by this. Is it Thanos or Thanos?
I put a hard A on it. I go
just
Thanos.
To give him that edge?
Yeah. Now, I mean, the proper pronunciation is probably Thanos with a softer or whatever A. I don't know the proper terminology for that.
I mean, that sounds more Hollywood.
Yeah.
But Thanos has kind of got like a Shakespearean edge to it, or at least sounds a bit European.
Right. So I don't know. I've always given it the hard, but it was the name existed in my head before I ever heard anybody else speak it.
You should have your listeners do a poll. Everybody chime in to Rob on Twitter.
Thanos or Thanos?
Yeah.
Fair enough. And that's really it for my weekly geekery, I think, for this week. There wasn't anything else. Oh, I beat Lego Jurassic World last night with the wife. We went and got 100%, and I was really let down. It was very anticlimactic. We finished finding all of the little hidden things in the game. But in Lego Pirates, once you find all of the things, you get access to a final level, which is the Disney ride. You actually just get to ride the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, but a Lego version, of course. And then you get to, in the same as all the Lego games, is you get to blow stuff up and get all of the Lego coins or studs, as they call them. And there was nothing like that for the Jurassic World. It was just like, yep, you got them all. Like, here's your Xbox achievement thing that pops up at the bottom telling you got them all. You're at 100% now. It was like, but I wanted that to unlock something. Like, there should be some better reward for that. If it's you get to sit in the truck as it actually goes through a regular Jurassic Park, in Disney form, of course.
So how does it end? Just like Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard just hugging a bunker?
No, it doesn't end. It literally, like, you can play the regular levels, and this is past the normal levels of the game, mind you. So once the levels are done, you get to revisit all of the levels and choose which characters you want to play through with in a free play setting. And you need those alternate characters in order to find all the hidden items in each of the levels. I know you're not a video game person, so I'm trying to explain it in a way that makes sense. So, for example, you might need a Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park 3 or Jurassic World in order to accomplish certain things. There are certain puzzles that only he can do that don't keep you from
I need to call Fall.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum was in 2. He was not in 3.
That's what I'm saying.
No, you said he was in Jurassic Park 3.
No. I'm saying you use the character Jeff Goldblum in the video game. You use him and play through the levels for 3 and 4 because in the game...
Mind blown.
Yeah. Like, the way that the Lego games work is there's like 50 different characters, and you really only need like 5 of them, but each one has a different ability for something they can do. Like, the kid from the third one has the parachute, so he can cross spans and get over to a hidden area in order to unlock an item or something.
What's Jeff Goldblum's skill? DJing?
Jeff Goldblum can enter dark areas by lighting up a flare.
I thought you were just going to be like conversation. He's just...
Yeah. And there are puzzles that he can solve. Like puzzles up on a wall. He can solve difficult problems. But best of all, there are multiple versions of him that you can get. Just different looking Jeff Goldblums. And one of them is the Survivor version where he has like his shirt open. And probably the best thing is they use clips from the movies in the cutscenes, but then they also just have sound effects while they're running around. So every once in a while, he's just like, ah, ha, ha, ah. So it works out. Anyway, we beat that. That was the only point I was making. I beat that video game, so now we're thinking maybe we'll move on to the Harry Potter Lego games, but we're not sure. But we found the secret to enjoying those games, and that's just for one of us to play at a time. Playing it together
how do you celebrate these triumphs? Do you do like Paul Sheldon does in Misery? You like open a bottle of Dom Perignon and have like one cigarette?
We went to bed.
Oh.
Yeah. We were like, all right, we're tired now. Let's sleep. So no, there was no, but like I said, I feel there would have been a better celebration had the game had an actual proper, well done type of ending.
Well, if you beat the Harry Potter one, I think it's only fitting that you have the Muggle root beer?
Muggle root beer.
I'm not a Harry Potter fan per se. The Muggle beer, or not the Muggle beer, but
the
just
butter beer. But
yeah.
Okay, you're losing geek cred, Fletch.
That's fine. After this week, that's fine. I'm ready to cash it all in and just go home.
All right. Well, we're taking up time here. Let's jump into some news with a news. I got 3 pieces of news for you. The first one is yet another comic book movie being announced, and that is going to be Multiple Man. Jamie Madrox's The Multiple Man, a guy who can make multiple versions of himself, starring James Franco.
Was it confirmed? I thought it was just rumored.
I just saw the headlines, and I saw him in a couple different places.
Huh.
Your thoughts?
Irony. On that, I don't see how it warrants a whole movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we already had a Multiple Man movie. It's called Multiplicity. It's Michael Keaton. He is the best Multiple Man. I
agree. And if you want to go back to a more innocent time, there's the animated House of Cosbys, where the guy creates a cloning machine and makes a bunch of Bill Cosbys,
wow.
each with a different type of character trait. None of them inappropriate. Terribly inappropriate, I guess. I think one of them is like a nudist or something, but...
What a sweater reference. Well played.
Yeah, sorry. All right, next piece of news is Marvel Entertainment has a new editor-in-chief. In CB... and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Cebulski or Cebulski. But
let's just call him New Thanos. Or New
that's
Thanos.
Fine. Yeah. Axel Alonso was the editor-in-chief since 2011, and he's been all over the industry as an editor in different forms. Because I feel like he used to be an X-Men editor, and for some reason I feel like he was at DC for a while. I don't know what his whole thing is. It looks like he joined Marvel full-time as an associate editor in 2002. In 2011, he became vice president of international brand management for the company, and now he's going to be responsible for the editorial and creative side of Marvel's publishing division. So he recruits new talent, he helps shape the ongoing stories. Basically, he's going to be the head guy as far as the comic books go, and he gets the final say as far as the big storylines and stuff like that.
Well, good luck to him. I just hope he brings back the company softball game.
That would be nice. But you can't use your powers. X-Men rules.
No. I actually have an X-Men comic where they actually do play softball at the X-Mansion. And Jean Grey uses her powers.
Oh,
during
totally.
the game. Of course, Jean Grey would be the one to break the rules on that one.
Is it the one where they then get kidnapped by Arcade?
No, they go up against Warhawk or somebody.
Okay. I have one where they're playing softball, and eventually it leads to them getting kidnapped by Arcade. It was actually published as like a little paperback book. Like in black and white.
You're wrong, because I have that one too. Arcade just kidnaps them individually because Cyclops is out and he's talking to Spider-Man, and I thought that was so cool to see the interaction. And then a dump truck gets...
Well, I'm just saying the overall story is a Murder World story where they're in a giant like pinball machine.
Oh yeah, you're right with the murder world. I'm just telling you, there's no softball. I take my softball very seriously.
No, there is a baseball game in that comic. Because
but it's a completely separate story from Arcade is not in that storyline.
I'm telling you, it's in the little book that I had of stories.
Yeah, there are 2 stories in that book. I have that one too.
There's 2 stories, but the opening of a comic is them playing baseball, and everybody ends up using their powers because it's like Colossus is coming in. I don't know if he's coming into home plate or if he's coming into slide, and he puts on his metal whatever, and then Wolverine pops his claws through his baseball glove.
Yep.
because everything naturally gets crazy in there. That was the only point I wanted to make. Like, I don't know if I still own this somewhere, but if I do, I'll have to go and find it. Maybe I can find it online and put it up on Twitter. And you'll see Arcade is really sitting in the stands and nobody noticed him. Hilarious.
No. I'm going to disagree because the villain for that particular story... Arcade is not there. He's not at the expansion.
It was a joke. It was a joke, Fletch.
Oh, okay. Thank you for flying me in.
Anyway, that makes for a really awkward transition into the last news story that probably should have been the middle one, is one of DC's editors, Eddie Berganza, who has been a major editor for quite a while. He's been the editor on Superman. He was the editor who oversaw the Dark Knight's Metal thing that's going on. He got accused by multiple women of sexual harassment and, trying to kiss and grope women and stuff like that. So even the comic industry is not immune. There are jerks everywhere. And so DC finally let him go. I saw different reports saying he was suspended, but it sounds like he was let go from DC, and rightfully so.
Yes.
So that was it. Like, that's not a great story to go out on, but you had to get all uppity about Arcade and baseball.
Yeah, what can you do?
Not get all uppity about Arcade and baseball. All right. So
thank you for flying me in again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So normally this is where we would take our break, but I don't want to do that. Instead, I want to start talking spoiler-free thoughts on Justice League, and then we'll use the break to split up between the spoilers and the no spoilers. So why don't you bring us into a topic of the week, Fletch? Lay down some jams.
Zabba-da-doon, dabba-dee-ga-da-da-boon, your jam.
Topic of the week. You got to somehow work the words topic of the week. That's fine. We'll move on. I'll give it a B.
Let me do. I want to do it again then. I want to
fine.
respect the medium here.
Shoot for that A.
Topic of the week. Topic of the week. Topic of the week. Duke of Earl.
Perfect. Our topic of the week this week is Justice League. I saw it last night, or rather yesterday afternoon, in a theater that had like 7 other people in it.
Really?
Yes. Well, to be fair, it was 3:00 on a Friday afternoon.
Oh, okay.
So, understandable. But yeah, it was. There weren't a whole lot of people. And then I was talking to Koji on Twitter there, and he was saying that it was like a quarter full. He went to like a 10:00 showing in Southern California. So you went Thursday? You went opening night?
Yes, I went Thursday night. I caught it was either the 10 p.m. or the 11 p.m. showing, and the theater was pretty full.
Okay. Well,
and I was surprised too. I would say that I almost want to say it was equal amounts of equal representation between men and women.
Well, Jason Momoa.
Let's be honest, J.K. Simmons.
Well, yes, yeah. But no, I was seeing a bunch of stuff online about women upset that Jason Momoa wasn't chosen for Sexiest Man of the Year over what's-his-name from The Voice.
Oh, yeah, I went to Blake Shelton. Well, that just goes to show you, publicists matter.
Yep. All right, so let's just get into it. Spoiler-free, general thoughts on Justice League. What did you think?
Justice Week.
And how long did you practice that one in the mirror?
9. I'm still practicing it, and I'm still looking in the mirror. It completely forgettable.
Really, completely?
Yep, I'll never see that movie again.
Okay. I have so many questions, but that's all going to be spoiler territory. I will not go that far. I feel like maybe I need to see it a second time to see if I disliked it as much as I thought I did going out. I think I figured out the problems with it. I think I figured out the things that if they had added them in would have meant the world, even some of the small things that could have been tweaked. But I think it feels like a movie that Zack Snyder started and Joss Whedon finished. It absolutely feels that way. It feels like the color was added in later as an afterthought. I feel like originally they were going to keep it pretty dark. And I'm sort of along the same lines. I was not a huge fan of it. This this does not nearly stand up. There was one moment in it that gave me a bit of a nerd moment where I felt
I think I know which moment? Am I right in guessing?
Probably not. And it was okay, like this, there are hints of a movie I wanted to see in it. We'll say that. I went in with zero expectations. And there were a couple of moments that I was like, see this, like take this and expand this into the whole movie, and I would have probably really liked it. However, I have been seeing reviews online by fans where there are things that they very much enjoy about the movie. There are changes and things that seem to have shifted since Batman vs. Superman, through the success of Wonder Woman, that people really seemed to enjoy. So there are people, just if you haven't seen it yet and you're only listening up through this point, I just want to say there are people out there that really enjoyed the movie. So we are going to dig into it now, but who are we? We're just...
Those people also like stuffed crust pizza. That's all I'm going to say.
I like stuffed crust pizza.
Ooh.
I mean, I think I prefer deep dish in the end. Not your weird, giant, floppy New York folded over pizza. Like, I want a meal. Like, my pizza should be like a pot pie of awesomeness.
How many words do you have to read before you can have that pot pie?
I don't understand.
Educated kids. Do I need to go? Oh, we had a program back when I was in elementary school. If you read enough words, you got a star, and that star would earn you a personal pie at Pizza Hut.
Oh. Yeah, that sounds familiar. You were talking about pot pies. I was like, I know you grew up in a rural area of Minnesota. Like, you read a book. Have a pot pie.
It's a wonderful program.
Yeah, I'll bet. Okay. Well, I guess that's all we'll say. Neither of us really liked it, but don't take our word for it that the movie is terrible. We are going to take a
Can I give
break.
A little bit more context?
Oh yeah,
because I don't feel that's right that your listeners just hear that he didn't like it. Here's how I went for. Supreme Uber Batman fan. That Thursday night, I had a wonderful New York deli sandwich. It was amazing. I was feeling pretty good. I actually went and hit a couple of open mics for stand-up. Got me in a great mood. The audiences were a lot of fun. And then I even caught some improv before going to the movie. And the improv group let me come on stage and play. So I was on cloud 9. And then I go to this movie and...
All right.
Teardrops.
So he really didn't like it.
No, I did not.
Okay. But like I said, there's people out there that I have read that enjoyed parts of this movie, if not the movie in its entirety. So I still say go see it and form your own opinion. Or if you're looking for our opinion on whether to wait and get it at Redbox, get it when it comes on whatever streaming service it's going to be on.
I say download it illegally, because in that way at the end you'll feel something.
That's awful. We don't openly support piracy on this show. Openly. All right. Well, we're going to take a commercial break, and we are going to come back and get into some of the nitty-gritty here of the Justice League. So stay tuned. Like, don't start listening to another podcast. Unless you haven't seen the movie.
You can check your Instagram.
Yeah,
you can check your Instagram.
Check your Instagram, listen to the commercials, unless you don't want spoilers, in which case we'll see you guys next week, I guess. I don't want to say that. Now people are going to think that it's the end of the show. Commercial time.
No, it's not the end of the show. Stay.
It's not.
Stay. Don't log on to Tinder yet.
Stay.
You know who you are.
Stay.
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 Swipe right. Stay.
Stay. Good listeners.
Hi, my name is Joe Hogan, and I'm a geek. And if you're currently listening to this, there's a good chance you're a geek too. So check out my podcast, Geektitude. Each week, I talk with somebody about their geek aptitude. Sometimes I talk to people in a geeky profession. Sometimes it's someone doing something really cool with their geekiness. Often it's another geeky podcaster. But it's always someone who wants to share their inner geek. So join me each week as we come together to geek out about all the geeky stuff we love. And remember, this week, keep it geek.
Hey everyone, I'm Katie.
And I'm Chelsea, and we're the hosts of the podcast
Tea Time with Katie and Chelsea.
We are two best friends who love pop culture. We try to have a female perspective on things, but we really just talk about anything we like. What are some recent topics we've done, Katie?
Well, we've talked about girl power songs, Wonder Woman, Veronica Mars, young adult fiction novels, San Diego Comic-Con, and so much more. So grab your cup of tea or whatever your drink of choice is and download our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher and start listening today.
I'm Void.
And I'm Beej.
And together, we're the Geek to Geek podcast. Well, we make it. It is kind of us, but I guess it's separate.
Every week, we pick a topic from geek or digital culture and chat about it for a while.
And you're invited. We talk about books and movies, games, comics, the internet.
Or really whatever we feel like.
Yeah, that too.
So look for the Geek to Geek podcast on iTunes.
Or wherever your podcasts are sold, or downloaded, or whatever.
We're back. If you are listening at this point, we hope that you have either seen Justice League or don't mind spoilers, because spoiler warning, everybody, from here on out. I will give you time to stop and run away by saying that you just listened to commercials for the Geek to Geek Podcast Network. Please head to GeektoGeekCast.com. See if anything there tickles your fancy. We have great shows, the Geek to Geek Podcast, Geektitude, Tea Time with Katie and Chelsea. There are rumors that Geek Fitness Health Hacks is going to come back, maybe in like a video format, I think Beach was saying, on the last Geek to Geek podcast episode. So that's going to be really interesting. I look forward to seeing that. And obviously this show, The Comic Box, give us your star ratings and your reviews and subscribe and tell all your friends, because we don't spend money in any way to advertise. And that's because I don't want to spend money to advertise. I want you to do the work for me. Is that too honest?
No. That came from the heart. I appreciate it. I think
All
I'm
right.
going to go out and decorate a billboard now.
Wonderful. Wonderful. A giant congratulations, by the way, to Joe of Geektitude for making 100 episodes. That episode has not been recorded yet. I'm recording that right after this one, and I get to host his 100th episode spectacular. I don't know what the format is going to be, because I feel like he's changing it up a little bit. And he was asking for people to do like little bits of people saying congrats and sending well wishes and stuff. So I have no idea what I'm going to be getting myself into, but I really look forward to it. And big congrats to Joe.
Well, good luck to you. And yes, a huge tip of the hat to Joe. That's impressive.
Yeah,
Here's
that's
200
huge.
more.
That's huge. All right, let's jump into spoiler territory for the Justice League. Where do you want to start? Do you just want to start
The
unloading?
whole movie was a spoil.
The whole movie? Let's.
The
What's all right? You said you didn't like it. I want to finish with at least saying a couple good things, if we can find them, about the movie, so we don't end on a down note. So let's start with what bothered you the most about this movie.
Characters.
Be specific. What do you mean?
Every character. I have a complaint about every character in the movie.
All right, well, let's start at the top. What didn't you like about Batman?
What did Batman had at least 8 spinal injuries, and yet he still. This is just so stupid. But I'll give him one credit though. I did notice he does live with his legs. That's important.
Okay. All right. Let's rapid fire this. Wonder Woman. What was your problem with Wonder Woman?
No. I'm not done with Batman yet. The huge thing about Batman is the Ben Affleck thing. I liked I liked him in Batman versus Superman. I thought it was like, okay, this shows promise. This one, I agree with a lot of things that a lot of people's opinions. He did not look like he wanted to be there. I didn't like anything about it. He really ruined the character for me, and I was really really disappointed in that. And I did not like the costume design.
Okay.
I hated the goggles. Night Owl is Night Owl. Keep him that way.
Right. I'll give you that, because he didn't seem to get a heads up display or anything with him.
Nope.
They're just goggles.
B-Man seemed like he wanted to be anywhere else. But go ahead. Next question.
Yeah. Okay. Wonder Woman then.
Wonder Woman she just made passing for me. Just barely made passing.
Okay.
Interesting kind of storyline. I think Gal did a nice job, but the only thing that I had a gripe about was her fighting style. Her fighting style really just proves that she knows P90X.
Okay.
It seems like every third move she has to cross her arms to make the shockwave. I'm like, oh, it just blows them back. Seems like you're just avoiding them so you can catch your breath.
Yeah. I mean, my main issue with Wonder Woman is her introductory scene. I mean, it's one of my problems with the movie in general, is having everybody needs their own little action scene thing. Because they're trying to backwards engineer the Avengers and then forward engineer it and then backward engineer it again within the span of 2 hours. And
That's a wonderful observation.
The Wonder Woman scene bothered me because she's doing the whole deflecting bullets with her bracelets thing, which, yes, absolutely. Except they show her moving in like super speed to do it, which, again, makes sense. And then we never see that again.
Right.
Like, they do the whole Superman being fast and the Flash being fast. And that was the one thing that I saw a lot of people really love, was the scene where Superman comes back and they're all fighting Superman because he's, I don't know, Lazarus Pit crazy. And which exactly is what that was, by the way.
Yeah.
And the idea that he was able to see the Flash and move against the Flash. And, like, we saw Wonder Woman move at super speed as well. So
here's a comment on that as well too, because I think that was the big, kind of supposed to be the big first aha kind of moment or kind of gasps. I felt everybody was confused in the theater
by her moving that fast.
No. When Flash and Superman recognized each other's speeds, I was really taken aback by that, because it's like, okay, I know what kind of moment this is supposed to be, but I felt a general cloud of confusion with the whole audience, because we have not had enough background with Flash to warrant this kind of response. How are we supposed to know he thinks he's the fastest man?
Right. Yeah. And again, that's one of those, there are so many little things they could have done. Like he could have said fastest man alive once, instead of talking about like people move too slow for me and that sort of thing. You know, you could have had little touches you could have added. As far as Batman, my biggest disappointment was his lack of chemistry with the other actors and stuff, which I think leads back to what you were talking about, with the exception of Henry Cavill, because I'll talk about that at the end. It was very much like, I guess you could explain it away as him not wanting to be there. Somebody could explain it away as, well, Batman doesn't get along with others. And let me just get this out of the way. I was going to save this for once you were done, but my main problem with the characters in total is they kind of almost get arcs, but not really. It's the anti-Thor Ragnarok, where every character feels like they get a full arc in Thor Ragnarok. Everybody goes through character development, and it feels very phoned in here. Like, is Batman's whole thing that he doesn't want to be a part of a team, and then by the end he's okay being part of a team? Because it doesn't make sense, because the whole thing is him putting together a team. Right. But the bit of character development is you don't have to go off and sacrifice yourself. You have a team around you. And it's like, yeah, he's the one that put the team together. Is the whole idea that they're going to say they're a family now? Like, and if you really wanted to do that, drive home that Robin is dead. Drive home that I don't work with anybody else anymore unless I have to. Like, I'll put this team together, but I'm not going to be a part of it because I can't lose people again.
Right.
Give me an arc.
That's good.
Give me an arc. There was no arc. Flash's arc was what? He doesn't like bugs and he's not used to saving people. He helps push people out of the way. But we've seen him save people. We saw him, stop the robber in the convenience store in the footage of him in Batman v Superman. So his arc doesn't really exist. Wonder Woman's arc, I liked the discussion of the fact that you did this thing in World War I and then you disappeared for 100 years, and they kind of bring it up a couple times, but they never give us a good reason. Because at the end of Wonder Woman, you do not get the sense that she's like, well, I did it, but I'm really sad because Steve Trevor's gone. I'm going into hiding for 100 years. She talks about how love is so important and the importance of love. And you don't get any sense at the end of Wonder Woman that she's like, well, I'm going to go into hiding for literally 100 years now. So her character arc didn't make sense. Cyborg, the whole issue of him being like, kind of embracing who he is and being able to step out, like, cool, we get that moment. I don't feel it was incredibly earned because they just had to move too fast and do too much. I also hated that at the end, when everybody has their epilogue, we see him starting to give himself like the recognizable cyborg armor. You really should have done that earlier because he looked like a transformer.
Yeah. The other thing I couldn't buy too is first time we see Cyborg, he's in that sweatsuit. How does he get into that with not ripping it?
Very gently.
How does he do that?
Yeah. And,
well, I think, with every negative, I should try and find some positive. So with all that technology, I was pretty surprised that Cyborg doesn't check Facebook. Does this cool little palm thing? That's pretty cool. I'll give him props to that.
Yeah. Well, when we're talking about people wearing regular clothes, one of the other issues for me was simply they go in and out of costume so much. And like, we're all in costume and we need to escape Steppenwolf and we get away. And then suddenly we're all wearing civilian clothes. Did Batman have your size? Like, I could believe that. Give me a throwaway line of they're like, give me the Flash being like, I still think it's weird you had clothes in our size. And Batman just being like, I did my research.
Well, let's be honest. They were a little small for Wonder Woman.
Yes, they were. I agree. That didn't make sense. I feel like at all times, if she knew she was in the middle of like fighting or whatever, she should have been wearing, the yoga stretchy pants or something she could move in. Like, she is not a character to be sexualized, and they did butt shots with Wonder Woman in this movie.
Yeah, quite a few of them.
And that is absolutely against, in my opinion, her entire character. Like, Wonder Woman is amazing because she's shot as an action hero and nothing else. And in this movie, yeah, she's over-stylized and totally dresses like Negan in that leather jacket with the red scarf, by the way. I was waiting for her to pull out a baseball bat and start beating heads in. But I don't want to take over your point. So what did you think, outside of the clothes, what did you think of Cyborg?
We just weren't given enough. I mean, where was all that slow-motion footage of him playing football from the trailer? There was a whole bunch of stuff that was cut from the trailers that didn't even make it into the movie.
Yeah. Because I feel like one of the other problems in general, I would say, with the movie is a lack of focus. Now, The Avengers doesn't necessarily have one character we follow all the time throughout the whole thing. If it's anybody, I guess maybe Iron Man-ish, kind of. I'm trying to remember. We could have followed Ray Stone as our entry, as our surrogate through the movie. Could have been him.
You mean Victor?
Victor, what did I say?
Ray
Stone. Isn't that an action movie?
Could be.
All right.
Who would that star? Ray Stone. Let's be honest. It's probably Liev Schreiber. Good for Liev.
Right? Like that's what it sounds like in my head. But yeah, Victor, Cyborg.
Yeah.
I feel like he should have been our surrogate. Instead, we got this really weird thing with the Russian family, which I have a major point to make about that, but I can hold off for a second while we finish going through the characters here. But yes, I agree with you completely. And finally, our last member of the team, Aquabro. What did you think of Jason Momoa's Aquaman?
Aquaman has got 3 lines in the whole movie, really. It's, yeah,
my man.
And I feel like, my man.
And his other one, I dig it.
Or, I wish, if he was going to do the one-word phrases, I at least one time just wanted to hear, cannonball.
I like the setup for Aquaman. I don't necessarily, like, I could see why people would, after this, want to see more Aquaman. I want to see more Mera. I thought Mera seemed really cool. And the small introduction to Atlantis that we got, which is literally, it's an underwater paradise island. It's like the Amazons, but underwater. Nothing's changed.
I'll give you that. All the allusions to Aquaman, that was pretty good. The little backstories that they hinted at.
Yeah, but now
that was all right.
When they do that movie, though, don't take him into a big city. I want that whole movie to take place in that small town.
Oh, that's a great idea.
In Atlantis.
I like that.
That's another problem I think this thing has, is trying to figure out what scope it wants to have, and how everybody's like hanging out in Gotham, but now we need to go over to Russia. But then there's a base, and they didn't really say where Bruce Wayne's lake house is. Like, is that in Russia? Is that his Russian Batcave?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Everything looks like Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, we didn't talk all characters, though. We didn't talk the Flash.
Oh, I thought we did. I thought that was you saying that you wanted him. We didn't get the fastest man alive thing with him. You had other things about. I suppose we can dig into I think he's going to be the standout character for the millennial generation. I think they're really going to enjoy his Flash, but I don't think he's going to replace the TV Flash in their minds as the Flash. I think they did a good job of really keeping those characters completely separate.
Yes, they did. I did not like the costume.
No, I warmed up to it a little bit as they went on and explained, like, you made a costume out of the material the space shuttle uses as heat shielding. I was like, okay, you gave me a reason to understand why you're wearing armor as the Flash.
But at the same time, he looked like a bobsledder most of the time, just running after his toboggan.
Yeah.
The weird helmet portion. I can get that, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't like it.
Okay, that's fair.
And we didn't even talk about the big boy.
Well, right, yeah. I was going to talk about the villain.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's do that.
Because those were in my opinion, those are our
wait a minute,
core
you mean
characters.
The lack of?
Yeah. No, don't stop making CG villains. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Or,
it's the same as. So did you have the trailer for the Liam Neeson on a train movie?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. There's a shot where I think it's him jumping out the back of the train onto a car or something, and he's a CG character. Knock it off. Knock it off. Like, if you're a superhuman doing a superhuman thing and you need to use a little bit of CG because it's something a person or a stunt actor physically can't do, I guess okay. Steppenwolf should have been a dude in a suit. Like, I'm so terrified for what Thanos is going to look like because he's just going to be an all CG character. We don't feel threatened by CG characters, especially when they're humanoid characters, aliens, whatever. Right. If they look like people, but they're not real people, we're less threatened by them. This is a normal, uncanny valley, whatever thing. Like, we can tell that it's a computer-generated character, so even as teenagers, maybe even kids, like, we take it less seriously. We don't care. There was no reason Steppenwolf couldn't have been a dude. Now, to jump into this just a little bit deeper, in comic book movies in particular, when they try and do villains, they go usually one of two different ways. They go this way, where you get a giant CG whatever, Parallax in the Green Lantern movie, Doomsday, they go outlandish, or they go the other direction and they give you the character that dresses in normal people clothes, where they do the whole thing where we're superheroes, but everybody's more realistic. So I'm thinking like the first Ghost Rider. I never saw the second, but the first Ghost Rider movie where the bad guy was just like in a suit. Mm-hmm. Where you have Loki, for example, but they lose the giant horned helmet and stuff like that. They try and make him, and even shows up just in a suit in Avengers. Or maybe that was Thor, that he shows up wearing just a suit.
I think it's in his contract that he shows up in a suit in every movie.
Yeah, so he can take a suit home at the end.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, they go one of two routes, where they're either more human or they're outlandish. Marvel has done a decent job where their villains are forgettable, but they're a little more center of the road. Where you have, like, the Red Skull, it's prosthetics. You have Malekith, that's prosthetics. And that's important. But then the things they're using is big CG, light in the sky type of stuff. Mm-hmm. I have a problem with all of these. There's a happy medium in there that I think you can get to, that I think, like with Loki or with some of the Marvel villains, and I'm just talking about appearance here. I'm not talking about how they're being used. You need to trust the source material. And you need to trust your stunt team, and you need to trust your actors to be able to pull it off, because you're trying to make a CG character emote enough for me to care. And we can tell they're not human, and we know that it's a CG. It bugged the heck out of me. And Steppenwolf is a boring villain. What is his plan? Thousands of years ago, back in the Lord of the Rings time, apparently, when no records were kept, Alien comes down to put 3 cubes together. He takes 3 sugar cubes, and he holds them together, and it destroys the Earth and turns it into his home planet instead. He fails and leaves. Then, for some reason, when Superman dies, he's able to come back to do it again. Like, literally, it's push these 3 things together. We have to defeat him. How do we do it? Pull those 3 things back apart. Like,
and all to impress your nephew.
Like,
your nephew.
Oh, my God. Like, I love the mother boxes as a thing, the fourth world in the comic books. They're an interesting plot device. They're an interesting just object, within the world of DC Comics. But here, it's literally the Unity. I don't know what the Unity is. Is that something I missed out of the comics? Is that just this idea of, like, we push these 3 things together. We need to take them apart. It's like, you know what? I saw Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I understand that. You have the 3 stones, the things that need to get put together, and we need to pull them apart. Like, I've seen The Fifth Element. We're going to see in Infinity War. Like, you can do better. You can do so much better. Don't have it he's coming to turn it into, like, give us a straight New Gods, Apocalypse, Darkseid plotline. You're coming to Earth to destroy it and turn it into another Apocalypse and another engine because you're an evil being from outer space. Give us that simple plot we can understand, not, I'm going to put these things together and like, why is he trying to create his original planet? He says something about finally taking his place among the New Gods, and something about for Darkseid, he says the name once, but, like, make yourself at least a mildly sympathetic villain. You're doing it because your planet was destroyed by the forces of Earth at some time. You know what I mean? Like, Magneto is one of the greatest comic book villains of all time because we get it. We don't agree, but we get it. This guy is just straight evil.
Or that's why he can keep coming back, too.
Yeah. And while it's okay to have a simple villain because you're making a movie with a bunch of characters you need to introduce in under 2 hours, again, the engineer, reverse engineer, the Avengers thing, you need to either give it as simple as possible, which again, I guess putting these three things together or taking them apart is fairly simple, but it's still, there were hints of something else underneath that we didn't get. Like it's an invasion, he's trying to conquer the planet, or give us a sympathetic villain. They're doing this wishy-washy middle ground that gives us nothing. But in the end, I think my main thing is just, I can't stand CG villains, man. I can't.
No, especially if you look like the first rendering of Ares from Wonder Woman.
Yeah, like it takes me back
or worse
to
yet, you know who Steppenwolf looked like? He looked like leftovers from Willow.
Yeah, perfect. It took me back to The Mummy Returns and how The Rock turns into a giant scorpion monster at the end, which makes zero sense, did nothing for the plot, completely ruined the movie for everybody. Like, that's just the impression that I got. I was okay with in the parademons thing, like he kills you and you're turned into a parademon, so they're sort of zombies. You could have done something so good with that.
That's all you needed to do. That's all you need to do was the invasion, is that, he's turning people into parademons.
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe he's building an army by taking human beings to take over Earth.
Yes. Perfect. And then somebody could have lost somebody close to them. Even just a friend, it would have been fine. So Steppenwolf bugged me just throughout. The fact that they kind of kill him by his own minions, like, come on. A, we know for a fact that they're not strong enough to hurt him. B, I don't understand what this they're attracted to fear thing is, because they don't play into that at all. That could have been this amazing Grant Morrison thing, and sort of my whole issue with...
If that's the case, how did they not attack the Flash more?
Right? Or, and why was Superman not the cure for that? Why was Superman not returning? This is my other main thing. I have a couple big things, obviously, with this movie, but the big one is the way they handled Superman and his return. I needed more crowd shots. I needed to see the world's reaction to Superman dying, not just newspaper headlines and a newscaster saying that there's more wars out there. That's lazy filmmaking. That's lazy
Or the Leonard
storytelling.
Cohen ripoff.
Yeah, that's lazy. Give me the crowd shots of things happening. Just show it to me. Show Batman struggling to keep up because there's too much crime. Show me Batman trying to help Metropolis and Gotham. And Metropolis...
Instead, you get the one guy at a bodega who just flips over the fruit. That's supposed to be the world's anger.
Exactly. Yeah, just one bit of xenophobia. Which doesn't even make sense, because the whole thing where there were people that hated Superman because he was an alien, but there were also people that worshipped him as a god and didn't care that he was an alien. So it could have been, start the movie with Batman being exhausted because he's trying to help Gotham, and Gotham is turning into Metropolis. Metropolis is turning into a second Gotham City, and he's terrified because it's all he can do just to keep Gotham from falling further into darkness, and Metropolis is supposed to be a beacon of light. And then give me him sitting at the cave, exhausted from trying to help both cities while he sees news reports from around the world, and he's just like, I can't do this alone. And then you get the Steppenwolf invasion, and that kicks everything off. The return of Superman should have been the return of hope. I will say this, while we're mixing everything in and not really separating our thoughts. I thought Superman was fine once they brought him back. He felt like Superman for the first time. They showed him in color. He was smiling. He didn't mind cracking a joke. He was helping. I liked Henry Cavill as Superman. And while we're already over an hour recording time, so I'm just going to start throwing things at you. My geek moment was seeing Batman and Superman standing on that bridge together for those 30 split seconds. I don't even know that it was at 30 seconds. That's a long time in movie time. But when Superman is back as Superman and he shows up and he and Batman have that very small exchange on the bridge, that's what I wanted the whole movie to be. That's what Batman v Superman should have been. It should have been world's finest. This is the only time I saw true chemistry between any characters in the movie. Was between Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. And I think once the movie's out all the time, if you can go back and just find that shot or that scene on YouTube, it was the only thing I had a flicker of nerd happiness, of nerd joy, of I see Batman and Superman. They look like they're about to get along together, even though they're still these completely different characters. Superman feels like the brighter one, and he's smiling and poking fun at Batman. I was like, this is what I want. The thing that I needed that I didn't get that would have capped that off perfectly. End of the film, Batman buys the bank that owns the Kent farm, right? So they get the farm back, which, by the way, is kind of elder abuse because I believed Ma Kent when she's like, I don't want to live in this big house alone anymore. So I'm okay with it. Like, I'm sad it's being foreclosed, but I didn't need it. And then they're like, well, we're buying it and putting you back there, Ma Kent. This is where you get to go. You don't get a life anymore.
No.
Pa Kent is dead. Your job is to stay at the farm.
Yeah. Sign up for that farmers only account.
But what would have capped everything off and actually given Batman more of an arc completely? Ma Kent stepping up and giving Bruce Wayne a peck on the cheek. And then saying something about, like, come on in, we made apple cobbler or something. That would have been the perfect end moment for the movie if it's supposed to be about Batman finding redemption from feeling guilty over Superman's death and not wanting to be a part of a team or a family again. You know, like, give me the Robin speech and then end it with that. You would have had my money. I would have been able to forgive so much if we had that.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, what do you think? With, like, Martha Kent treating Batman like a second son because he saved her, right? There wasn't even a moment where they're like, oh, you're the guy that saved me. Like, she should totally know that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah.
And that idea.
Well, I think, I don't know if she's actually the brightest bulb in the orchard. I feel like Lois Lane was telling her.
Or have Wonder Woman there and have, like, the holy trinity of DC Comics all sitting down for dinner with Ma Kent back at the Kent farm.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Like, he has the whole thing.
Wouldn't redeem anything for me.
Well, he has the thing where they walk in and he's like, we're going to, turn the Wayne Manor into the Justice League headquarters and the big table and the room for more. Like, I liked that. I liked that moment.
That would have been worth $250 for me.
Okay. So as far as Superman goes,
I'm not done with Superman. I got more to complain about Superman.
Oh no, I know. I'm about to hand it over to you. I just wanted to pass the ball saying, like, there was a lot I didn't like about it. The idea of he's like, I'm insane now and I don't remember anything. You're like, but I'm Lois Lane. You're Superman. Oh, okay then. And then he goes off and Superman's. Let's
go to this Airbnb and talk it out.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a lot I didn't like, but I was seeing a lot of positive comments about Superman on Twitter of people really liking that. And I can back up at least that's where my one nerd moment came from, was Superman and Batman together. And it felt for once like there was some chemistry on screen. How about you?
In terms of chemistry, I know the moment, but I can't remember the dialogue. So therefore it was not that effective on me.
Right.
If anything, since we're talking spoilers, the credits scene, that was kind of the one chemistry moment.
Which one?
It's like, this is fun. The Superman
race?
and Flash. Yeah.
Should have been a foot race.
Yeah, absolutely. But the whole thing was rushed, and I hated it.
Yeah.
I hate it. Everything about this movie was microwaved.
That's a wonderful way to put it. But that's how you get a movie under 2 hours, and I don't know that we needed. That's the question. Should Justice League have been a 2.5 or 3 hour movie?
No, you should have trusted your characters and done your standalones. Marvel did it right.
But DC doesn't have 10 years to catch up.
That's their own fault.
Okay. So your thoughts on Superman, though?
Let's start off with a positive. The only positive. The only time in the movie that I thought that the stakes were raised and I went, ooh, this is interesting, is when Superman had Batman and did the "Do you bleed" line. I was not expecting that, and it got me. I was like, okay, this could be interesting.
Okay. I feel like I heard reactions from, we'll say, 2 of the other 6 people in the theater with me when that line was said. So
what was the reactions? They laughed?
No, it was one of those like, ooh, oh, things are about to go down. It's about to get real. And I was expecting it, honestly. Once I saw that it was Superman fighting everybody, I was like, we're going to get some throwback here once Batman shows up. So I wasn't surprised by that line at all.
Aren't you so clever?
I mean, generally.
So now let's go within the problems that I had. How the hell does he lose his shirt after getting zapped out? He gets put in his whole casket attire, his casket costume. And then when he breaks out and is reborn, for some reason, he's in like Lululemon pants and shirtless.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's a complete Zack Snyder moment, and I hated it.
Okay.
Hated that. Then the rest of his costume seemed weird. It was
because,
brighter, but I know it was brighter. But here's my question though: was it originally black, and that didn't test well?
Oh, I don't know, because the theory was originally we were, I believe, told, in different spoilers and stuff online, we were going to see the black costume from Superman Returns, or the Death and Return of Superman in the comic books. He's in a black costume and he has, a mullet, for lack of a better term, and he doesn't have most of his powers.
Yeah.
When he comes back in the comics, and so he doesn't get them until somebody else, the Eradicator, sacrifices himself. And in doing so, his powers get passed to Superman and recharges his cells or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So that bugged me because I just couldn't I was like, oh, I like that, but there's something bugging me about it. And then that's what bugs me about Zack Snyder's costumes in general. I want a real cape.
Yeah, it's a CG cape most of the time, I think.
I hate that crap.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that was making me laugh the whole time, I think it was very apparent in the very first thing in the movie, is the Superman mustache.
Yeah, that first scene. Yeah, you could tell. Now, granted, I had seen a shot of it, just a still of that, online before I went in. When I was scrolling through Reddit, somebody was being like, we can expertly remove his mustache, and he's looking a little derpy.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, if you freeze the frame, I'm convinced he's going to look like Leia from Rogue One.
Yeah.
Absolutely convinced of that. And I don't get it. I love that we couldn't, Mission Impossible couldn't let him shave. I mean, it's pretty easy to fake a mustache.
Right.
But to fake having one, but not?
Well, while we're on the topic, again, my big issue is we didn't get those crowd scenes of hope or whatever. The start of the film, the movie starts with Superman being asked what he loves most about Earth, and he doesn't really say anything, and then it cuts into the movie, right?
Yeah.
What was supposed to be the follow-up to that? We don't get any character development in Superman except he comes back angry and then he's fine because he sees Lois Lane and gets a hug.
But I think that's a Joss Whedon.
I know it is, but the problem is...
That's a Joss moment.
He was trying to build to something that we didn't get. Again, we didn't get the character development we could have gotten, and they tried to do it. Everything was half measures. Like you said, it was all microwaved. Somebody singing in the background over there?
That is.
Wonderful. But yeah, it was everything felt like kind of rushed in the movie. It's like it's the anti-Thor Ragnarok. Again, Thor Ragnarok was such an ADD movie. It jumped around so much. It was so kinetic, but you got a sense of all the characters. They each had their own arc. Everybody had a little bit of development. And granted, they had that extra half hour. They did 2.5 hours. So there's something to be said for that. But yeah, Justice League just felt muddled, I guess.
Nothing felt inspired. Look at like the Batman carrier thing. That literally looked like a flying vacuum.
And the fact that there wasn't like a bridge, they all had to jump out of it to get down. Like, is
Who
that
was
supposed to be
this?
Is that
why was Alfred left in the
when
Batcave?
When somehow it lands in the subway tunnels, and they all jump out of it? It's very much this like, wait, is this supposed to be used to evacuate people? Are they supposed to jump 4 feet, 5 feet up in?
And that bat spider was the dumbest piece of machinery.
I agree. I think too much of this movie was Hey Kids toys, especially where Batman is concerned, because he had to have 2 outfits and all of his vehicles. He really has a bad record. Just Batman in movies. It's like the Enterprise. Every Star Trek movie, the Enterprise is going to get exploded at some point. It's going to get destroyed. Yeah. That's every vehicle Batman has ever owned. We have to assume he's used them multiple times. But in this one, we know he's saying that these things are a prototype while he's using a wrench underneath it, because clearly he builds all of these by hand. And he's like changing the oil or something on a thing he's never used. And then
Putting in serious.
But everything gets used once and then gets destroyed. And was the whole point of the crawler, the night crawler, was the whole point of that? First of all, there's no bat night crawler. Like, come on. Come up with a bat name for it, as ridiculous as it would be.
Call it like a bat spider or something.
Yeah, call it the whirly bat. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, or the wingless bat.
But like he was only there to give Cyborg something
to do? The boneless
to do?
bat. Let's call it the boneless bat.
Perfect. But it's only there to give Cyborg something to do?
Apparently, yeah. Well, look at all of Snyder's movies. Like, why do all of Batman's vehicles look like cleaning appliances?
Yeah.
They all look like Roombas.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind the Batmobile though.
No, I don't. I hate the Batmobile.
I think if you gave it a different shell, I think in general I'm okay with the design of the Batmobile. Again, I would give it a smoother shell on the outside.
No, I don't like the Batmobile because he always goes into it. It's like, oh, the only way I'm going to defeat this is if I hop in the Batmobile because that's where my cannons are. Let me go use my guns. Need my guns.
Either he's using giant guns or he's swinging around on a rope.
Yes.
Like, where is the smart... Like, once we see him throw, like, a mini bomb on somebody. Like, this should have been batarangs flying everywhere, shock gauntlets, like...
Or strategy. He could take down, like, a dozen parademons just by strategy. Like,
yeah.
Lead them through the cave, and then, oops, you actually trap them in the cave.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
Stupid. Well, let's talk about the other horrible Batman treatment. It was Commissioner Gordon.
I don't like J.K. Simmons as Gordon.
I don't either. You know what? It's okay if you pick a bald guy to be Commissioner Gordon. It's okay if he's bald.
Oh yeah,
that
wasn't my thing.
I hated the wigs in the movie. I'm sorry to the costume department or the hairdressers. I hated the wigs.
Oh, mine was just Gordon didn't feel like he had any heart, and that has to be the core of Commissioner Gordon.
Right.
I just didn't like J.K. Simmons as him. I feel like he was played very bland.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Well, his role. It's just a case of the writing.
Yeah, we didn't need him. He didn't need to be in the
movie. And I hate to put all that down. I know how hard it is to make a movie, but I mean, it just looked like everybody was rushing to meet the deadline. There was no passion in anybody's.
Well, keep in mind,
projects.
Joss Whedon had to step in at the last minute to finish up, and then he got writing credit, which meant he did significant rewrites at the last minute.
Yeah, well, I feel bad. I feel bad that the timing thing was such an issue.
Well,
but even from the get-go, the very first images released, I was like, I'm not excited for this at all.
Right, and I was there with you. But in Hollywood, to get a screenwriter credit, don't you have to have changed at least like 50% of the script or something?
Well, I think in this case too, it helps what your name is. I mean, it's also.
But it
could be an issue. It could be an issue of the contract too.
I suppose.
I mean, they could have said, do you want co-directing credit?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's all apples and oranges in terms of what's your contract.
Right, but my understanding is there are very explicit rules by the unions as to where your name can go and why.
Well, if that's the case, the union should be able to read a couple things and tell them, hey, no.
Yeah, because it's just, if I see him as a writing credit, it means there was a lot of changes last minute. Last thing I want to put down about this movie before we quickly say the things we liked. I didn't like the family. Like the Russian family or whatever. That felt so Joss Whedon dumped in. We need characters we can relate to. We need a surrogate on screen that's caught in the middle of all of this. And then they need to be saved at the last minute. It's the Joss Whedon, there's a child crying in the street and one of the superheroes rushes up to save them and pull them out of the way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you had to insert this random family in the middle of all of this just so we had actual people that we're seeing being saved, rather than what I'm guessing the original one was simply Justice League fights big monster, and we don't have any stakes whatsoever because we're in the middle of nowhere CG land. Because otherwise there's no stakes.
No. At one point I thought, I didn't know if it was going to be a foreign family. I thought like one of the characters was going to be an allusion to someone. I
guess there's another thing to put down. And maybe it's just things I missed. There was a lot of Easter eggs I didn't see. Normally when we do a review, I lay down all the Easter eggs. Outside of him saying Darkseid's name, and the mother boxes and the new gods, I didn't really... There was a thing that said like the Janus Corporation, which I know is one of the big companies. I'm trying to remember if Janus was Metamorpho?
Black Mask.
Black Mask. Okay.
Oh, no. No, isn't it? Yeah, isn't it the Black Mask company?
Yeah, that might be it. So there was some reference to some, but that like I didn't see.
I thought the egg moment for you was going to be during the big battle.
Oh, I suppose
very beginning.
I suppose we haven't talked about that. Well, let's finish with this family first. I didn't.
Okay.
I get why they were there, but I thought them being there was a glaring sign that you were doing something wrong, that you had to insert them into this story.
Well put.
Okay. I don't know. What did you think about having that family in there?
No, I think you're completely right.
Okay.
I think there's like, we've only got 6 people we've been following the whole movie. It seems like the rest of the world, it just seems like we're all fighting for property, not people.
Yeah. So as far as the Lord of the Rings battle scene you're talking about, which is funny because I keep saying, like, I want to see this. I wanted something like that in Thor Ragnarok or whatever. I didn't feel like it belonged here when we were trying to tell a story of a small team. The Justice League should have epic battles against big bad guys, but to do like this many, like the exposition was so heavy at the start of this movie. And to see this giant fight scene, and what you're talking about is we got to see an early version of Shazam. We got to see a Green Lantern, and I don't know who the lady with the fire arrows is supposed to be. So I will admit...
I don't remember the Shazam part.
There was a dude who was throwing lightning around.
Oh, I thought that was just a Zeus reference.
I took it as, unless it is, like that would be interesting, but I definitely took that as a hint to Shazam.
Oh,
and there was a Green Lantern. It's hard as a Green Lantern fan because I get it and I understand why they're doing things, but the fact that they show the Green Lantern ring powers working like fire, I just hate that. I don't know why I dislike that so much, but that bothered me so much in the Ryan Reynolds movie as well. That when they create things that it's like green fire. That is Alan Scott, the first Green Lantern, had fiery things going on sometimes with the things he did, but it's just supposed to be solid light structures. Like they did it okay sometimes in the Green Lantern movie. They're so afraid just to make it look straight, I guess. They need to add these little effects onto it. So I didn't get a joy at all of seeing a Green Lantern in there. It didn't do it for me. I wanted to see the Green Lantern Corps. We didn't get that. Instead, we got Lex Luthor and Deathstroke, which I'll get to in a second. Because, it didn't do a whole lot for me. So
can I before
go
you get to any of that end stuff, can I just make a comment on I even hated the credit sequence of this movie. The end credits.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So I want to quick say what we liked and then where we think the DC universe has to go from here.
Well, I'm not going to tell you about things I like first. I got to talk about these dumb credits.
All right, let's talk about
end credits.
The end credits and where we think the DCU is headed now that we've gotten our Justice League.
I'm not even talking about the clips. I'm talking about the actual credits.
Not the scene
just
with
the
Lex
people...
Luthor?
No, I'm talking about just the credits. Because why? They use Beatles music. They use Come Together.
Yeah.
When obviously at the end of the movie, they really haven't. They kind of split off and are going to do their own things to build up their resumes before they unite together in this league. Hated that. And then I hate the use of the Beatles music because I'm not a Beatles fan in general. But here you get one band who's doing a cover of an Aerosmith song, or an Aerosmith doing a cover of a Beatles song.
Yeah.
And that to me is just like, that's so Snyder.
I agree with you. And I very much don't feel like they are still not a team. Like they came together to fight once, but they're not a team yet. And so the movie, if they wanted to play that angle, should have started with them coming together and doing a bad job and then coming together at the end and doing a good job, not trying to fight the guy and failing and then doing okay once Superman shows up. Like that doesn't show that you got better as a team. It doesn't show you learned how to work
Superman
together.
was just able to come right back in that fight and not really be a little rusty. Yeah. That would have been an interesting character arc. I mean, I'm like, we don't really need the team. We just need Superman. We brought him back. Rest of us can go home. Yeah,
pretty much. Okay. So what are the things you did like? I mentioned that scene on the bridge that I liked. I liked that the visuals of the movie, as much as I didn't like all the CG. I liked that it was brighter. More of it took place in the day than I thought it was going to. Obviously not the big bad guy fight. It was cool to see these characters on screen, on the big screen. It was cool to see parademons. I liked the parademons. I didn't like the fact that they were attracted to fear and whatever. I thought was dumb, unless they were doing a big Grant Morrison, we defeat them by not being afraid. All of humanity needs to learn to not be afraid. Superman sends out a broadcast and the world bands together to fight. That would have been great. We didn't get that. But I thought the parademons looked pretty cool. That's kind of it. I think there's some saving graces in there, like you go back. I think their take on the Flash is very interesting. I thought it worked well in that it was very standout. I think they did an okay job of showing us very different personalities. It didn't feel like really hard work to show us that Wonder Woman was reclusive, Cyborg was didn't want to do anything, Flash was very awkward, Aquaman was a bro dude who didn't want to get involved kind of thing. Like everybody didn't really want to do this and then eventually do, but I thought they did an okay job of that, considering all of the other problems, that they were at least able to make the characters feel different and make me want to see maybe a little more of them, but I don't know that I need like a Flash movie. I feel like he works great as a secondary character, or like a web series with the Flash would be really good. Aquaman, maybe, like we know we're getting Aquaman. Yeah, so there was some stuff in there that I thought was okay, and I could see why somebody who didn't care about all of the nuances of story and plot and timing and characters and design and cinematography and CG and everything we spent the last hour and a half talking about that we didn't like. So some guy named Matt, he will probably like this movie because he liked Green Lantern.
Yeah, but that's Matt with 3 T's, and I don't like that guy.
Huh. Yeah, so what did you like? What were any of the saving graces in this movie for you? Positives.
My seat was comfortable.
Very good. Very good.
No, there's nothing.
Okay, wow.
Because anything I did like was killed and destroyed within 15 seconds. Case in point, I liked the subtle nod to Danny Elfman's '89 Batman theme.
Oh God, yes, and the same of the John Williams Superman theme. We got tiny hints of them, but they never came together properly.
And that's all. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted that so bad. When they gave me hints, I was like, "Oh, that's so cool! Give me not just the nod, then give me part of the full themes in there, but do it right." Because they played like the Superman theme when he was still pissed off and beating people up.
Yeah,
that should have been. I don't know. So, I have my solutions to this movie, of course. I've already talked about some of them, of maybe focusing it around Batman, talking about how he doesn't want to do the team, that sort of thing. Don't have Wonder Woman have been a recluse. She just does things more diplomatically now. When Superman gets out, he should have shot straight into space. And I know they kind of did that with Superman Returns, but I don't care. We can ignore that movie. He should have shot straight into space. You get a snarky comment from the Flash being like, "So I guess we're on our own then." And they have to go and try and do it. And Superman is up there soaking in the rays, and then he hears Lois's voice, or he does, whatever. Then you get the Superman theme comes in. I would have gotten chills and goosebumps. Give me the heroic moment and give me the John Williams theme. Because Henry Cavill can be that new Superman. I honestly believe he was better as Superman in the few minutes we got him at the end here as Superman than we did in both of the other movies he was in.
But who's that a result of? Is that a result of Joss or Snyder?
I don't care. I just give me that moment. Give me this.
I know you don't care, but I think that's the point, that it matters who's helming this. And
that's
I think
fair.
That's what it boils down to is this whole thing. I'm sorry, but you've made Watchmen. You want to make another Watchmen movie? Go ahead. But I don't see any changes in any of these movies. It's a continuation.
I agree completely.
There's nothing stretching, just making the same movie over and over again. So of course everybody's going to look tired and worn out.
I agree completely.
I'm over this. I'm over this. The movie, the scheme of things looking like it really looked like it was a Crossfire board game commercial. The red skies.
Yep. No, I agree completely. They were treating it like Watchmen. It was not Watchmen. It is supposed to be, Avengers and Justice League can be different because they should be. Because in the Justice League, it is, a team full of Thors is how you should be treating it. Where everybody's like, oh, this is an actual god walking among us. That's insane. Mm-hmm. And then Captain America being, there's only one god, man. Yes, it should be a team full of those. Everyone is supposed to be in awe all the time of the Justice League. And the Justice League should be in awe of themselves. The Flash should always be in awe of Superman, not surprised that he can move fast. There was a little bit of that, where he was in awe of Batman and Wonder Woman, and he was nerding out a little bit. And I liked that because in the Grant Morrison run, that's Green Lantern, because he's the new kid on the block. And he is always amazed by everything he sees, and he doesn't feel comfortable around Superman or Wonder Woman or Batman because he doesn't feel like he belongs there. There was so much they could have done that we didn't get with those themes. Yeah, especially. Okay. Well, if there's no positive things, then let's close out with where do we want to see it go from here, and where do we think it can go? Are you just done with the DCEU? Or because we have supposedly Batgirl, Suicide Squad 2, which may also be a Gotham City Sirens thing, or a Joker Harley movie, or a Joker standalone movie, a Nightwing movie, Shazam, Aquaman, Flash, a Wonder Woman 2, potentially a Batman standalone film, whatever they're going to do with Superman at this point, supposedly a Green Lantern Corps movie, supposedly a Cyborg movie. What do you think we need to go forward to make this better, or what would you want to see after this movie?
I'm not going to hold my breath on anything.
Okay. We know they shot Aquaman,
I really,
right?
This one, yeah, I know they shot it, but seriously, after this one, I've checked out.
Okay. Not even for a Wonder Woman 2 or a Batman standalone detective movie?
Absolutely not for the Batman.
Not this version anyway?
Nope. I'm done with that. I'll just stick to my animated movies.
Okay.
At least they try different things.
Yeah, that's fair. I will give you that.
No, I'm just gonna look forward to see how the Punisher turns out.
Okay.
Because I like that the you got the Punisher show that at least seeks justice.
Yeah.
The Justice League was just punishment.
Fair enough. You practice that one in the mirror too?
I did, and I really liked it.
So we have our end credit scene where we get Lex Luthor and Deathstroke together. My first thought seeing Deathstroke is, you look ridiculous. My first thought,
yeah, I loved it.
My first thought when I saw Deathstroke when that clip was shared online was, ooh, Deathstroke looks kind of cool. Like there was excitement there. But when I actually saw him in this world, he doesn't make sense. He's way too bulky. He doesn't look like, and the same with Batman. Batman is just this tank of a man, and I get that, but he needs to look like he can move. And Deathstroke looks super clunky, and the idea of, a league of our own.
No, let's get back to Deathstroke. When he took off his helmet, I really thought, oh, it's Johnny Depp from Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah. Like I like that they went with the white hair, but again, I'm with you on the beard and the hair work here wasn't great. It's like, okay, if your next Justice League movie, pretending it's a thing that happens, is against the Injustice League, okay, but go Morrison. Go flat out Morrison. Do right by the Justice League. Give us a story that's going to be good. Do not give me any more building stories. I want to show up like in Age of Ultron. Not to say this was Age of Ultron. This was literally Age of Ultron. They fight the guy a couple times in the middle. They need the big guy to show up at the end to help them out. The same with the Vision showing up. This was Age of Ultron. Except Age of Ultron, they actually were seen saving real people, not one family of people, by pushing a truck out of the city.
Oh, don't forget the condo.
And I'm sorry, that was a nice moment.
Yeah, he got Sokovia.
That was the Superman moment. Okay, well, I hope this helped. Let's put it this way. I invite the conversation. Fletch, take us into the end of the show here. We got to close out.
Okay, well, before the only way we're going to get through this is I'm going to look at the mirror at least for another 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But like all things, as dark as they may get, there's always hope, and that hope is that KFC does deliver. Original recipe chicken.
That's it then. That's it. We're gonna close the comic box and end the show. We hope this was an interesting conversation for you guys. I'm sorry it seems so negative. Joe over on Geektitude always talks about how he gets slammed by never saying good things about, they always do the nerd nitpicking. But we were pretty much let down by this movie. But that doesn't mean you were, and I want to know your thoughts. If you disagree with us entirely, please come and tell us why. You can email us at thecomicboxpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter @comicboxcast. We are part of the Geek to Geek Podcast Network, which means we have a Slack channel, which is a live chat program where you can talk to all of the hosts of our shows. We have our subreddit, which is /r/Geek2GeekCast. You can find me personally on Twitter @Nobi, and tell us what you guys think. I really want this to be a conversation because I don't want it all just to be, we're standing on high as comic book nerds and film geeks, and we didn't like anything about this because we think we could have done a better job. I really want to hear what you guys thought, and I'm sure Fletch does too. Fletch, where can we find you?
Oh, you can find me hanging out on Twitter, too, @TheKyleFletcher, and I definitely want to know what you think. I want to know if you think that Batman could have had the beard the whole movie. I want to know how you eat pizza. Is stuffed crust an option? And then, are you disappointed that Steppenwolf did not have any actual Steppenwolf music?
Or references.
Born to be Bad?
Yeah.
Or a little
Born
Magic Carpet Ride?
Yeah.
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 Oh, we didn't even talk about the boom tubes. Ugh, this movie. If anything, just tweet at me a hug.
Tweet hug gifts to at the Kyle Fletcher. We'll make him feel better. And go watch The Punisher. A poll list for next week is I'm going to do a Punisher review. So go out and watch The Punisher. And then I think if you want, you can read the first volume of Runaways, because that also comes out this week, and that's what we're going to be talking about the week following the Punisher review, I think.
Very good.
I believe. So, yeah, go ahead, go find that, give that a read. I'm sure you can find it on Hoopla. You can probably find it. I don't know if it's part of Marvel Unlimited, but I wouldn't put it past him since the new show is coming out, and that series has been out for a really long time. So you may even be able to find it at your local library. Fletch, thank you so much for joining me and for putting yourself through Justice League. You were going to watch it anyway. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I was going to do it, but oh man.
Well, hopefully next time it'll be a good one.
It was worth the flight. All
right. Well, we are closing the comic box. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week with a ba-ba-ba-ba-da-bound-ba-da-ba-ba-do-down. Fletch, go!
Happy trails, y'all.
That was not music. I was expecting you to do
I'm doing more of the Leonard Cohen spoken word music.
Yeah, you're doing your own thing. All right. My man!
Booyah.